Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of ReWatch Wednesdays. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and joining us now is Kristin Tattar. Kristin, first of all, it's the off season. That's not a big spoiler out here right now. It's the off season, and you're back in Estonia. How does it feel to be home and hopefully a little rest and recovery?
Thank you, Terry. It's awesome to be here and join you here. It's been great. Yes, I've had a lot of time to just recover and take some time off and deal with the injury. So, in conclusion, I would say it has been going very well for me.
What does it feel like to return home? And of course, we're going to relive your moment of the World Championships. But what does it feel like to return to your home country as a world champion?
It's been great. A lot of people noticed me now, and a lot of people have noticed disc golf in general now, thanks to this achievement. So I'm definitely proud of what I've achieved, and I'm so happy that people are taking disc golf seriously, and it's a real sport, not just something super fun. It is super fun, but I mean, as a professional sport as well, it's great.
Well, you had an incredible season, and of course, one of the most unbelievable titles that anyone can achieve in disc golf is the World Championships. So no better time than now. We're going to watch the final round at the Emporia Country Club, and we've got it all ready to go, and excited to hear some of your insights and some of your thought process throughout this round. So let's take a look now at the final round of the World Championships. Emporia Country Club. During the first round, it was actually that you played here, which was the second round of the tournament. It seemed like it wasn't your best round of the week, and then you steadily improved. What were some of the thoughts in getting revenge on this course and coming back after you didn't play great here your first round?
Yeah, you know, Terry, it's kind of a blur to me, actually. That week, disc golf in Emporia. I feel like I was just so focused in trying my best, and I was just thinking about the shot ahead and not thinking about the past or the future. So, yeah, I was just trying to stay present, trying to be in the moment and focus on the shot at hand. And I don't think anything else really crossed my mind.
Now, you had a 5-stroke lead over this fellow European player in Hanna Blumros. Of course, 5 strokes can come and go very quickly in disc golf. We know that, especially on a course that's this long. How comfortable does 5 strokes feel, though, for someone like you?
I cannot say that I'm ever comfortable on the course. I always feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's an important feeling to have. If you feel very, very comfortable on the course, then I don't think you can play great golf. So I think having this uncomfortable feeling in me, it actually drives me forward and pushes me forward, and I feel the round is over or the tournament is over once I've made the last putt. So no, I was not comfortable. I didn't sleep at all that night.
Well, and that's a very real thing. I've talked to world champions now for the last 20 years, and almost all of them say it's one of the worst weeks of sleep. I mean, Ricky Wysocki, I know when he talked about it a couple of years ago, said he barely slept at all during the week. Is there anything you can do? What's going through your mind when you're not getting these nights of sleep, especially when you play in the morning?
Of course, I had some thoughts of worry in my mind, but I was just trying to tell myself that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and whatever is out there for me, I will accept it as it comes. I will just try to do my best, and if it's enough, then it's enough, and if it's not enough, then I just have to keep pushing forward. And this was the only thing that kept me going, and it worked.
Yeah, and you know, when I look at your second round, we said your first round wasn't great on this course. Your second round, though, you had 5 birdies in the first 5 holes, and you had 7 birdies in the front 9. I mean, you seemed comfortable, and you seem like this country club course, very attackable. Is that how you would kind of describe the course, that it sets up well for you?
To be honest, I didn't really like the courses because they were quite long, and my hand was injured, and I knew I couldn't really throw as far as I used to, and I couldn't really compete with the distance with the other girls, and it was kind of a difficult situation for me. But on the other end, it actually made me really develop a really good game plan that I could trust, and I was really confident in my game plan, and I really stuck with it. It didn't matter what anybody else was doing out there. So I think this really helped me developing this really good game plan and not going crazy with any like distance shots or anything. I think it was actually a good thing to be sort of like injured in a way. Yeah, there's good in everything.
Yeah, and I'll say this doesn't happen often when there's 4 women and you're on the card that you might be the shortest thrower of those 4 women. I mean, that doesn't happen often. And that speaks to Holland, how far she throws, of course, Henna and Evelina. Now, not that, you know, they're out throwing you by 100 meters or anything, but you might be the shortest thrower on this of this card, right?
Yes, I definitely was, at least during that competition. Maybe next year I can start competing with them distance-wise as well. But on this tournament, yes, I was the shortest throwing player on this card for sure.
Well, clearly it didn't seem to matter. Like you said, you had a great game plan, and you know, this course is relatively open. You're used to playing in pretty tightly wooded, well, I mean, you play all over the US, but in somewhere like Estonia or Finland or Sweden, usually there's a lot more woods to deal with, right?
Yes. I like the trees shaping the fairways. That's where I feel comfortable, and I really like the creativity that you can show in the woods when playing golf. But on this course, yeah, it was kind of, in a way, it's boring. It's hyzer, but it actually allowed me to develop this good game plan that led me to victory. Yes.
Pretty calm conditions. You know, we're in September, so the temperatures aren't maybe scorching hot like you might otherwise have during the summer months in Emporia. Did you have any issues with hand or grip or anything like that? I know you did the year before in Utah. Was there any issues with that?
No, I can't remember that I had any issues. I think if you're so focused, then you don't think about these things. But when you're out of focus, then you start to notice the little things. Of course, it was hot for me. I remember it was a hot week, that's for sure. But I think the conditions were ideal for disc golf. You couldn't ask really for a better weather. And yeah, it was very nice to play disc golf. Yeah, that week.
And we see Hannah lining up her putt, and she's going to capture a birdie on the first hole. And just like that, their 5-stroke lead now has trimmed down to 4 strokes. Still, maybe, I don't want to say comfortable, but 5 down to 4 right after the very first hole.
Yeah, I remember thinking that this course is, I mean, the birdies are very gettable on this course, and the conditions were so good, and anybody can score really well. But if you start to have some struggles, then it might continue throughout the course. So I knew it was really important to me to shake off all the nerves. I remember having this nervy upshot on the first hole, which cost me a birdie, and I had to take a par. So I knew that I really had to collect myself and start to take some birdies. Otherwise, I'm gonna let it slip out of my hands.
Yeah, and that was the first time during the weekend you didn't birdie it. You got it in round 2 when you played here, and you got it in round 4, but you didn't get it here in the finals. And so you
Yeah.
immediately recognizing like, hey, that's an easy one for me to get and to move on.
Mhm.
So we're in the middle of hole number 2, and this one has a slight downhill slope and then it plays back uphill. This feels like a pretty easy hole for someone like you that's got a forehand and a backhand. Uh, would you say
Yes.
that's the case?
Yeah, yes, I actually broke it down to 2 forehand shots, just to avoid the OB and not take any extra strokes. And I mean, it worked out pretty well. I got my disc close to the basket, and yeah, it worked well for the forehand.
Speak a little bit to your caddy, who's on the bag, and
Mhm.
uh, what that was like having her as a caddy.
It was really nice to have Katie as a caddy. Of course, I'm sad that she didn't make it through to the final round, but I think it was special also for her to witness first Estonian getting the world title. I hope this also brought some inspiration or strength to her as well to continue her journey. I know disc golf is a big passion for her as well. So I think in general, that past season was a really eye-opening season for her. The first season where she was touring in the US, and it was a great experience for sure. And for me, it was very nice to have somebody to talk to in my mother tongue. And yeah, it was very nice.
And you guys coordinated outfits, right? I mean that was on purpose.
Of course, of course. 2 Estonian girls wearing really nice pink shirts. It's perfect.
All right, so you get the birdie on hole number 2. That's 582 feet, like you said. That's basically 300-foot shots or 95-meter shots. So not too difficult for
Mhm.
you. And your first birdie's on the card. Maybe a little sigh of relief, like, okay, now I'm ready. Does that calm the nerves somewhat?
Yes, I remember making that putt. It wasn't a really long putt, but I mean, when you're nervous, every putt seems longer than it should. So making that, I think it was a really good sigh of relief for me, and I told myself, okay, calm down. Now we'll start to take birdies. It's gonna be okay.
And now we're over on the tee of hole number 3. This feels like a soft or relatively easy par 4, and
Hmm.
now we're seeing Henna throw out of bounds. And are you just trying to avoid the OB entirely, going with the forehand again?
Yes, yes. Again, the game plan is really bulletproof. I feel like just avoid any mistakes. I know this is a hole where Henna could take an eagle or anybody
Hmm.
else on this card as well, going with the backhand, but it's also a risky shot. So that's why I broke it down also with for 2 forehand shots, just to avoid mistakes and get the birdie and move on.
Yeah, and we often talk about risk reward, and like you said, you can park it or you can get it close enough for an eagle, but it requires almost a perfect shot, whereas a couple
Mhm.
of very basic shots will set you up for the birdie. So I love the game plan there as well.
Hmm. Yes, that was my plan for the week, and I think it was the first tournament where my approach was this solid. I think I usually attack the course more aggressively, but this time my game plan, due to the injury, was more subtle and more easy.
And now I know we talked about your injury throughout the year, but explain to everyone, why you're throwing a particular shot in terms of the pain, and then how you adapted with that injury. What did that mean for you?
I mean, during spring, my elbow started to hurt. At first, I didn't think too much about it, but then it started to hurt more, especially when I was throwing backhands, to the point where the pain was almost unbearable. So I had to take some time off, and it turned out that I had this pinched nerve in my elbow, and it was hurting when I was throwing backhand. So with the forehand, it was fine. I could throw a forehand. That's why you see me throwing a lot of forehands here in Emporia as well, because it was just the easiest shot for me. But of course, when it was necessary, I also went with the backhand. I was under a lot of painkillers at that time during the end of the season. But also the taking some time off and actually missing 2 majors, which was painful for me. But I think it helped me a lot with the hand, giving some rest to it. And that's why I was able to come back and compete during the World Championships. And as you can see, it paid off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you made a very calculated decision for some time off to then, be available for the rest of the year. Now you're making your second birdie putt in 3 holes. There on hole number 3, you're going to pick up yet another stroke on Henna. And here we are approaching on hole number 4. And again, breaking it down, this is just about 600 feet. So cutting that in half gives you a really simple game plan for a birdie, right?
Yes. I mean, all these holes, they're super gettable for everyone. So there's a lot of pressure in it, I feel like, when you know that every hole is birdieable. I know maybe men are used to it. They play like this all the time, but I feel like for women it's a little bit different in disc golf. But on this course, yes, I felt like I have to birdie every hole, and it's a different kind of pressure. So I'm actually very, very proud of myself how I was able to handle this.
Yeah, and hole is really unique in that I believe it's the only hole all weekend where you actually play a longer hole than the men do. They back you up a little bit more, and you're a par 4 where the men play from a shorter tee, and it's a gettable par 3. We don't see that too often here in the U.S. or really anywhere, I would say.
No. Yeah, I remember men were playing it from our tee maybe during DDO, and it was also a par 3 for them. Both of them were quite difficult holes either way for the men. But I mean, they are good. They have good skills. They can handle it.
And you see Holland step up, and she's gotten off to kind of a slow start. She bogeyed hole 1 and 2, got the birdie on 3, and then misses the birdie there. You, however, are making now your 3rd consecutive birdie, and it's worth noting, and I know it's not a great conversation, but sometimes we've seen Evelina and Hannah here from shorter range. It's as if the nerves get to them or something mentally gets to them, and they sometimes struggle from short range.
Mm-hmm.
Do you always think of that in the back of your mind, that might happen, that might give you a little bit of cushion, so to speak, or that sometimes the pressure might overcome them more than you?
I never think about it.
Okay.
I never think that the other player could fail at something, and I try to think that I'm also not failing, because when I start to think about it, it will probably happen. And speaking about the other competitors, this is not the way I would like to win. If they start to just play bad. I mean, I know what they are capable of, and I would prefer to win when they are playing their best. But I mean, we cannot control this, and it comes down to everyone. If this is the weak part of their game, they have to work on it a little bit harder. I hope that they can figure out what's causing these issues. But yes, we have seen some of the short misses from both of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and here we are in the high pressure situation that is the final round of the World. Hole 5 is 523 feet or 159 meters. Well, let me start there. Do you do the conversion in your head pretty quickly now? I mean, you've been playing so much American golf that do you think of holes ever in terms of feet, or is it always to you is it in terms of meters?
I do think of them in meters. I guess it's a little bit easier, but but I don't mind if it's in feet. I have a pretty good idea what it is in meters. But I think the Pro Tour and all the bigger events, they have both measurements on the T signs, so it hasn't been an issue for a while.
Yeah, I just think about how often now that you are seeing, and
Mhm.
referencing in feet, that you probably do that conversion more quickly than most in your head, just because you've seen so
Yeah.
much footage in feet.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Talk about approaching to this green and what it's like, and the danger on both the left and right side of the baskets.
Um, I think it's it's quite easy up and down, but for me, for some reason, I always just went too tight into the branches. So this is the one mistake you can make, but it's the better mistake to make, to go into the branches and then fall down and maybe have a longer putt. Of course, you can go OB. Maybe Evelina went on this round. Yes. But this is the mistake that you don't see that often. I think everybody goes with really high hyzers. So this is really painful probably for Evelina to make that kind of mistake and go into the OB. This is not the stroke you want to have. Yeah, this is definitely a hole where you want to have a putt for birdie, I feel like.
And during Worlds, we didn't experience the wind that we normally see for what used to be the glass blown open or the dynamic disc open. So this basket feels a little bit easier to attack than it does when it's
Mhm.
really windy. Um, compare a little bit the DDO experience of a few months prior to this compared to the conditions during this week.
Yeah, DDO was a different kind of tournament for sure. I remember one round was just about survival. It wasn't about disc golf. You were just trying to survive and just get through the round. But I remember I actually played very well that windy day. I mean, um, the score wasn't as good as during the Worlds, but I remember I was just trying to play very safe, not go OB, and not trying to do anything too crazy. And I was awarded with a very good round. I remember that's what really brought me back into the mix, where I was able to play for the win. Actually, yeah, but it was a different
Uh,
kind of tournament for sure.
yeah, temperature, winds, everything, very different. Now, I want to point out that through 5 holes in the last 2 rounds, so in round 4 and in this round, in the first 5 holes, so in 10 opportunities, you've played it 9 under. I mean, almost perfect. The only hole you missed was hole 1 at the beginning of this round. So you've had 9 birdies in 10 chances. There's
Mhm.
something to be said about getting off to a great start on this course, and clearly you've
Mhm.
done just that.
Yes, I mean, it's hard to comment. I think in my head during the World Championships, I made everything very simple in my mind. I broke all the holes down, all the par fours into 2 shots, and the par threes. I told myself, I know this shot. I know how I have to throw the disc. This is what I'm focusing on, and I just have to execute. And what really played into my advantage was that I play a forehand. I think some of these shots are a lot more technical and harder to do with the backhand.
And we just saw a great shot there by Henna. This is the first par 3 that you're playing. It took 6 holes to get there, but this is the first par 3. And this one, as we're seeing some really great shots, this is a must-get birdie as well. This feels pretty simple still, and almost no wind on that flag.
Yeah, especially with without the wind, it's pretty much must get. I mean, to get inside the circle, it's not very hard, but I guess the putting part is the hardest on this hole because it's elevated. There's nothing behind the basket. It might be frightening during the World Championships final day, but everything else seems pretty easy.
And a great putt there by Evelina. And like you said, when you're especially to an elevated basket and there's not a tree around, it just feels like you're out there with no frame of reference and so many things. You know, you almost wish there was some other obstacle near you, but looking like a couple of great putts.
Yes, I mean,
solid birdies.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have to be really focused, I guess. If you go, it's easy to start putts.
And that's a star frame, all 4 birdies for you guys. And so now we'll catch up on hole number 7. This is on the fairway, throwing your second shot. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but same thing. Righty forehand off the tee probably, or maybe a backhand, but then a forehand here on the second shot, just breaking it down into 2 halves for this hole, correct?
Yes, I mean, I went with the backhand. I was trying to get to left side of the fairway, and then I thought it's a very, very nice approach shot with the forehand because I think the branches weren't as wide on the left hand side, so it worked out pretty well.
And Evelina comes up short on her approach shot. Henna off on this left side, and being on this left side, of course you want to be in bounds, but this gives you a great chance. You can go forehand or backhand from this stance, and she goes with the standstill backhand and makes it look pretty easy.
Yes, she got really far down there, and she managed to stay safe. I remember she was worried that she might have gone out of bounds, but she was safe, and she was super close to the basket, and it was a very easy approach shot for her.
And I know we, speak of the nerves. Holland is the newest, we'll say, touring player on this card. Evelina, of course, Henna and yourself have played in quite a few big events. You've been traveling and playing quite a bit. Holland only has been playing a couple of years. How incredible is that someone who just picked up disc golf 3 or 4 years ago is here on a lead card during the World Championships?
She was a really nice card mate, and I'm really happy about what she has achieved already. I think she's a really great addition to the sport. Everything that she is doing on social media and on the course, it's amazing. I love it. And I think she has a really, really bright future ahead of herself, for sure. Yeah. And she's amazing as a card mate as well. She's a very nice person to be around and play with.
Yeah, I feel like she's very positive and competitive, but yet very positive at the same time. And just meeting her a couple of years ago, like you said, I think her ceiling is very high in disc golf. There's a lot of things that she can achieve and accomplish, and she'll keep that competitive spirit going. I want to back up to something you just said about socials. Holland, first of all, does great tutorials, and you should definitely follow her. But what is social media like for you during this week? I'm sure you're getting a lot of support, but do you have to kind of limit yourself to seeing messages, or are you consuming social media every evening?
Um, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of social media at all. And sometimes I could go days without social media. Then I feel like I have to do something because, in a way, I am a public figure and people expect some sort of updates about my life and stuff. So I have to remind myself to do that. Maybe I should get some help with the social media from somebody else because I'm not really a huge fan. I like to be out there really living and connecting with people and but of course sometimes I go through the messages and after the World Championships it just blew up and I wasn't able to answer to everyone. I tried to, but it was just crazy. And I do feel all the love and support from all over the world. So it's amazing. And in that way, social media is great because you are able to connect with people that you otherwise cannot do. So yeah, it's great to have social media, but I'm not really there every day or go crazy in the social media.
Yeah, you don't get wrapped up in it too much or let it entirely
Hmm.
consume you. I think of, like you said, the outpouring of love and support, and the people that want to, round two, round three, just want to say good luck, keep
Hmm.
killing it, great job, you've got this. I can just imagine the thousands of messages, and it's just there's
Yes,
not enough hours in the day to reply to them all, but it's good that you feel
yes.
the love and it's there even if you don't reply to every message.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely do feel it, and I want to thank everybody who has messaged me and have taken the time to do so. It's really uh, it's wonderful. I appreciate it.
Now, this speaks to you, so take this completely as a compliment. I can't imagine you get any negative social media. I mean, there's does anybody ever have anything negative to say about you or to you on any? I
Um,
can't imagine they would.
Not really, not to my face at least. I'm sure there are people who don't like me. There must be some, because
Uh,
it's natural not to like everyone, you know. But I think um, these people don't necessarily come up to me. I do feel like I'm surrounded by the people who do like me and like the things that I work with and how I am and these people have found a way to me. And I guess the people who don't like me, they just stay away. And that's the way it should be. I feel like.
uh, Yeah, and I was just gonna say I can't. I That's why I asked, because I can't think of a reason why someone would dislike you other than maybe they're a really big fan of another competitor and they're frustrated with you beating them. That would be about the and I mean, and you can't help that, but I just can't imagine. You never are in controversy. You're never causing a problem. You're such a delight on and off the course. I couldn't even fathom somebody being upset with you. But
Well, thank
so
you so much. I'm really bad at taking compliments, but I appreciate it.
yeah, uh, so now we head over here on hole number 9. It's a par 5, so it's a little bit easy in that regard. But this tee shot, is this the scariest tee shot on the course, maybe, or no?
I would have to agree that this is one of the scariest because this is where you can really mess up. You can make it a really easy birdie for yourself, or you can make it super hard and go into the woods and have a really, really big struggle to get out of there. So when I released my desk, I was already just happy, a big sigh of relief. Yes, I made it.
Uh, you didn't make a lot of mistakes on this course, but this was one of them in round one. You struggled on both
Mm-hmm.
holes 9 and 10. You took a bogey here
Mm-hmm.
during your first round on the course. You birdied it during the
Mm-hmm.
second round, and now you seem to be in pretty good position here during your final round of playing it.
Yes, I mean, my approach shot didn't really make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
I let it go like a little bit too soon, or didn't have enough angle on the disc. So I was a little bit frustrated, but then I just told myself, okay, I just have to make the putt. It's a little bit longer than I wanted to, but that's the way it is. I have to accept it and just move on. And this is how I talk to myself during the round.
We'll see the approach, and now you're lining up your putt. You have birdied every hole from 2 through 8. So the only hole you've missed at this point is hole number 1, and now you're setting yourself up for a birdie here to get 8 under in the front 9. We're closest to the road at this point, and this green has we've seen some people struggle on this green, but that's a confident putt into the center of the basket. You're 8 under par through 9. That's going to make you kind of uncatchable. If you're not making any mistakes, you're going to control your own destiny, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, that's what I told myself. I just have to keep on birdieing. That's my mission out here. And if I do so, then nobody can catch me, because they're not going to get hole-in-ones or eagles on every hole. If I birdie, then I'm all right. Of course, this was a really sad thing to see, that it happened to Henna on this hole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's. I think there's something about this green. Honestly, I've now seen a few instances on this particular hole where it feels like I don't know if it's just a bad aura or something about this green. Kona Panis one time had struggled mightily on that green, and then we see the birdie to bogey for Henna, and that's going to give you even more separation. She was playing really well,
Mm-hmm.
just like yourself, but that's going to give you another 2 strokes of separation between the two of you.
Yes, it did. I mean, never really easy to see something like this or witness something like that, because I feel like quite often when your fellow competitors, they start to make mistakes, then you also start to slip up at some point. But the better everyone plays, the better I will play. That's how I feel. So it's never a good thing to see something like this. And she also messed up this tee shot. I think maybe a little bit angry about what happened on the last hole, and it affected also the tee shot here.
Well, and she has to be feeling the pressure. Like I just said, you're 8 under through 9. You already had a 5-stroke lead. There's no room for her to make a mistake. She needs to play near flawless golf in order to catch you, who's already playing great golf. And maybe she's feeling some of that pressure, thinking, "Man, there's nothing I can do to keep up."
Of course, yes. As a competitor, I know how it feels like. It's really hard to swallow, and the more you need to work, and you know that you have to catch up, and you have to do something extra, the more likely you will start making even more mistakes. So it's a really difficult situation to be in. I really understand her position.
But wait a minute, do you barely are playing catch up? You're almost always out of, and what I mean by that, this year in 2022, you never finished outside of the podium or off of the podium or outside of third place. That's unbelievable for starters. And second of all, that tells me every event you were in contention that I can remember. Was there any round or tournament where you were like, "Oh, I have no chance to win this"? Were you ever thinking that?
I was thinking it during the first round of DDO. I remember I played horrible golf, Then also
And then you
I
went on
think
to
throw
win.
pink. I did win. It was a miracle, I feel like. And I think throw pink as well. I remember people already commenting that, okay, Kristin is not going to make it to top 3 now. But I actually got into contention for the final round as well. I don't know. There's some strength that I find in myself when I play bad. Then I have this, I don't know, this inner strength that drives me forward and pushes me even farther. I remember early in the season it was really hard because every weekend I was in contention for a win, but I somehow took second place or third place and never really got the taste of winning. So I think the start of the season was a little bit bittersweet, but when I won DDO and then Jonesboro, and then I really told myself, okay, I can do this. I'm not going to be second or third forever. I can also win.
Yeah, if I remember, Jonesboro, I think you won by double digits. I think you won by 10 or 12 strokes. So you certainly very impressive. And like I said, rarely do I feel like you're out of contention. And that's got to feel good. I don't know if you know this. Not everybody has that feeling. Some people get deflated more often than that, but you're right there. You've made a mistake on this tee shot. What were you thinking about in terms of recovery? Obviously, almost throwing it in, but what happened that you made the mistake? Maybe that's a better question.
Like I said before, we fellow competitors start making mistakes. It's really easy to start making mistakes yourself because you sort of, the pressure is gone. Until that point, I felt this pressure, really tight pressure, and it drove pushing myself. I told or just take a really good score on every hole. But then I start to see, okay, she's making mistakes. It's maybe not as important to birdie every hole, and lost my focus. And there you go, got the OB.
Yeah, and she bounces back and with the park job there pretty much, and then picks up the birdie. So for the first time, this is a 2-stroke swing in her favor. And she just came off of, you know, a bogey and a double bogey. So there's still some good cushion there for you. But, you know, she takes a birdie, and this is your first blemish on your scorecard, taking the bogey. In fact, you didn't take a bogey the entire previous day on this course. So that's your first bogey in quite some time. And like you said, maybe just letting off a little bit too much or losing focus for just a moment.
Yeah, I definitely lost my focus there, and it resulted in a bogey. So that's when I told myself I need to get back on that train and just to keep my eyes on the prize and not think about anything else.
Hole number 12. We've seen hole 12 played probably 5 different ways in the last, 10 years. What do you think about hole 12 at 450 feet, a par 4? What are you thinking about on this hole?
Actually, this hole proved to be a quite difficult hole for me. I didn't really get a really solid plan on this hole. I mean, I had a plan, but I wasn't good at executing the plan. I didn't know if I want to go around the bush or stay short of the bush, and I didn't want to go OB. So I think I had a lot of negative thoughts in my head, and yeah, this shot was awful. There's nothing to really do from that position there. So I think I had to play it for a par, I guess. I know this position was bad. This is not the place where I wanted to be.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I feel like this hole is very challenging for what you just said. You have the OB to worry about, and right where you really want to land, or at least the flight, is where that huge bush or tree is, when you're throwing your tee shot. So I can understand how you were a little perplexed and trying to figure out what the best game plan is.
Yeah, I
And
remember I was a little bit angry with myself that I wasn't able to get into position. I wanted to get on the right side of the bush, and from there I could flex a forehand to the green. But I mean, I guess I started to be afraid of the OB so much that I pulled it too much. And I mean, it is what it is. These kind of things happen in disc golf.
yeah, and what I wanted to point out, I just a few moments of research showed me when you played this course 3 times, and
Hmm.
during round number 1, it was really at this point, hole 12 through hole 18, you had played it 2 over. So you really, I'll say, struggled to close out on this course during round 1, or your first
Hmm.
round of playing it. During the second round, you played it 6 strokes better in the last 6 or 7 holes, and you played it 4 under. And then during this round, you also played it much better. So, whatever maybe your game plan or your struggles were during your first round, it feels like you made amazing adjustments for rounds, 4 and 5 out here.
Yeah, I think I just I was just better focused during the other rounds. I think the second and third round, yes, second and third, they came to teach me something really valuable. I think I wasn't really in the present moment during these rounds, and then that's where I told myself, okay, if I want to win this, I really have to be focused. I have to trust my game plan 100%. I cannot have these negative thoughts around in my head. And that's when I really decided to just give my 100% and not doubt myself so much.
And now we have a par 3, just a little over 100 meters. And there's OB on the right. Though actually, it feels like there's OB everywhere. It may not seem like it,
Mhm.
but set up how this shot plays for you and what you're trying to do.
Um, it's very important to just get the hyzer out to the right. I think it's a very fast green because I remember when I was practicing, I kept going OB to the left
Hmm.
quite often. So I remembered I just have to get it out to the right, and then it will skip toward the basket, and I will have a very nice putt. But actually here, the grass kind of grabbed it, and I didn't have the skip I really was looking for. But I mean, it's okay. At least I have a
Uh,
chance for a birdie.
I was just gonna say you're on the green or near the green, looking for your chance to birdie. Your putter has looked
Hmm.
very strong. The only time you really haven't birdied is been an errant tee shot, and so your putter has to feel very confident at this point. And as long as you can see the basket, I think you've said that in the past, right? If I can see the basket, I'm trying to make it, and you're trying to make every putt.
Yes, yes. If I have a good putting week, or I feel good, then I will definitely go for a putt. If I feel nervous, then I usually play more conservative. I know already my inner world and what's going on there, and I can predict what will happen considering what is going on inside my head. If I have very bad thoughts in my head, then I will miss the putt. I know for sure. But if I'm just focused on what I have to do to make the putt, then I usually make the putt, and nothing bad will happen.
Well, that one was right side chain. It falls in for you. Hannah answers with a birdie of her own. And we're looking at just 5 or 6 holes or so left to play for the World Championships. We're now heading over to the middle of hole 14. You've thrown a tee shot to put you here. And not a lot of obstacles here. Of course, there's OB on the left and OB way on the far right. But this hole, again, just breaking it down piece by piece by piece. Pretty simple for you.
Yes, I remember I was again playing pretty conservative, just trying to get the drive out there and get the other drive out there, not to go too far or do anything crazy, avoid OBs, not go into the trees, everything, just keep it under control. But this hole, I don't know, also played quite hard for me for some reason, because I didn't see the basket, and I think I was overthinking it too much with all the OB and the slopes and everything. It's actually a pretty straightforward and an easy hole, I would say, in my head. But when I was playing it, then it proved to be a bit harder than I imagined.
I think you hit it perfectly on the head by when you're approaching to this basket, it's just tucked over the hill. And so if you can't see it, just kind of blindly throwing to that spot with a downslope feels, it's not that common. We don't see that often. But
Yes.
what an incredible putt that you make here. The day before was one of the highlights maybe of the week. You can tell us if it's not, but the day before you made a putt from 25, 30 meters. Does that sound right? On this
Yeah,
very
it was
hole? Do you remember
outside
that?
circle two. Yeah, outside circle two. I mean, I gave it. I remember I was so angry about myself that I messed up the approach shot because I was in perfect position to take a birdie just to get the approach underneath the basket. But then I just messed up. I threw it straight into the ground and I was so angry with myself. So I thought I have to make it. And I gave it like a half run, not thinking about the consequences if I miss. And I made it. I mean, it was even a surprise for myself because from 20 or over 20 meters, I don't expect it to go in. But I guess, yeah, again, this anger kept me going and pushed me forward at this moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's easy to say now, but a lot of people, fans, media, whatever, maybe even your competitors, when you made that putt on hole 14 during round 4, I felt like that was when we knew for sure the world's was yours. And I know that's kind of a big statement, but you had played so incredible all week, and then making that huge putt on 14, like you said, out of frustration, it was like it's Kristin's week to win worlds. That's how I remember feeling. And yeah, just incredible. I mean, you hadn't bogeyed that entire round, and then here you've only got one bogey in this round. Everything felt like it was lining up in your favor. So it was a big
Wow.
moment for
Yeah,
sure.
it's nice to hear this perspective. I didn't think about it that way. I was just, yeah, I was in this moment. I was so engrossed in this moment that I wasn't really thinking about the future or anything else. So, but yeah, it's nice to hear that opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it was your longest putt of the week,
Mhm.
and it came with just this notion of like everything's going your way. You're doing everything right. Like you said, you may have messed up on one of the previous shots, but then you capitalize with a huge putt, and that's how I knew things were going so well for you. Here we are on 16. This is, again, I talked about dangerous tee shots. This clearly has to always be in the back of your mind, knowing you have to hit the island, right?
Yes, I just wanted to make the island. I had my tournament fortress for this shot, and this is a disc that I really trust, and I don't want to lose it. So I had to make the island. I took that disc. Otherwise, I had a bunch of explorers for this shot. I remember because I didn't care if I throw it in the water or not. But then I decided I don't want to lose my fortress. It's one of my favorite discs. I'm going to throw it on this hole because I have to succeed with that disc. And it did turn out very well.
Well, I have to quickly say, and I got goosebumps just thinking about it. When you walked to 16, as you're about to just lay it up and not take any chances, you were walking to the tee of 16. Paige Pierce was on 17, 16 to 17, and she walked by you, and I think I heard her say, I wish I was there with you, meaning on the lead card, watching you. Tell us what you think of that moment. I know what I felt in that moment, but what did you think of that moment to have Paige Pierce say, you know, I wish I was on the card watching you as you were en route
Mhm.
to this victory?
Um, it's definitely a surreal moment. Paige is an incredible athlete. She has achieved so much in disc golf, and I mean, just looking at all these incredible names, Paige and Katrina and Valerie, and I mean, I sort of like grew up looking at these girls, even though I'm about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see them win, and then me dreaming about playing with them and also winning, and now it's actually becoming a reality. It's crazy to think that it went like this. It's really hard to wrap my head around this thought, but it's very beautiful, and I really appreciate that she's such a kind soul, and she really. Even though she's very competitive, she's always rooting for everyone else as well. So it's a really nice thing to have.
Yeah, and I'll just maybe never forget that moment, knowing the greatness that I've seen from Paige Pierce, and I think she still has plenty more in her of that greatness and her 5 world titles. But to know how big the moment was for you, and to recognize that, and to say that as a fan and as a fellow competitor, she wishes she had a closer view of the action. We saw her watching it on her phone. I don't think she cared about this round at all, because she was so engrossed. I mean, she cared, of course, but she was engrossed in the history that was about to be made, and you know, the woman that was going to take her first ever crown here at the World Championships. It was so special for me to be. I'm so glad I was close enough to see that
Hmm.
interaction between the two of you. It was awesome. And here you
Yes,
are
it's
on
definitely
17.
beautiful.
It was. Uh, now this is cruise control. You're very comfortable. I think you have a 7-stroke lead at the moment. Just trying to close things out. Do you now a little bit? Do thoughts start creeping in your mind like, I've got this.
Mm,
I'm going to be world champion, or no? You don't let those even come to you yet.
no, I did not let them come to me. Of course, it was hard to not think about it when Paige came up and also already congratulated me, even though I hadn't finished. Um, uh, then it was hard because for me it wasn't finished yet. You know,
Hmm.
I was really trying to be focused and just finish out the tournament and not think about anything else before the last putt is in. It was hard, but I remember I just wanted to execute this drive just to get it over the water. I didn't care where it went on the fairway. I just wanted to get it over there so I could just lay it up and then tap it in. That was my main goal.
Well, you've been awarded that opportunity. That previous putt on 17 for birdie, you were the only birdie on the lead card, and that extended you to an 8-stroke lead. And we all know you'd love 2, maybe 3 strokes going into the final hole of the Worlds, but 8 strokes. I mean, I think you could throw the disc with your toes and still be able to keep a lead when you have 8 strokes. So that has to feel very, very satisfying that you have such a comfortable lead.
Yes, I really did give it my all. And I was so focused during this tournament that I haven't really experienced before. That kind of focus, that kind of being in the present, and it was really beautiful to experience that and to witness that myself and to see how it all plays out. It was incredible feeling. I wish I have the chance to experience even more. Yeah, it was a great week.
Well, to be fair, I know you're going to be back in as competitive as ever in 2023, and looking forward to more moments, just like you're experiencing now. You're finally able to walk up, and it's just a tap in as the rest of your competitors have cleared out. And just like that, you're claiming your first ever world title.
Yay! Yeah.
You are so incredibly well spoken and thought out. When did you start thinking about what you were going to say?
I typically don't think about what I'm going to say. I usually, so if anyone asks from me, I just tell what's going on inside of me. That's why I typically don't even remember what I told in any of my interviews or yeah, I don't know what I've said, because I think the answers, they vary over time. And yeah, my main principle is to speak from the heart, and so far it has worked. Sometimes it's hard to speak in English, but I try to do my best. Yeah, that's about it.
Well, I'll continue to say thank you for the incredible effort you put into always speaking in English. I know I'm not going to get any better in Estonian, so the hard work that you have to do, and I think we forget, we've taken for granted just how good you are and how good so many of our European competitors have become at speaking English, or you already were, that we forget for a moment that, hey, you have a lot more to think about when we're asking you questions. So we thank you for that. You know, the graphic just showed up that said first European since 2004, since Brigitte had won Worlds. Just for a moment, what does that mean to represent, I'll say literally anyone outside of the US? What does that mean to be a world champion from somewhere that's not the US?
I think it's great for the sport in general, because I think we all want disc golf to be a sport that's loved worldwide. And I think competitors from different nationalities winning, I don't know, DGBT events or world championships, it doesn't matter. It will open this door for a new era in disc golf. I believe so. But for me, I take it as on a personal level. It was a goal of mine to win world championships. I mean, it's the greatest title in disc golf right now, and to experience this and to know that this is what I've worked really hard for, and now it's become a reality. It's such a satisfying feeling, and I recommend it for everyone.
I bet you do. Well, I have something that also I think is very satisfying, and speak to it for a moment. Almost immediately after your crowned world champion, your sponsor, Latitude 64, had custom discs, custom signature discs, your Kristin Tattar Grace, but then it was stamped with 2022 world champion. They had all the faith in the world in you, and I immediately, of course, had to buy one and had it signed. And I know it's a little too shiny almost, but I wanted the world. Let's see if we can get it to focus. There we go. What does that mean? Talk about this disc and a few hundred of these being available so that you could sign them. Talk about what that meant to you, and yeah, signing world champion for the first time.
It was crazy. I remember seeing that disc and I was in disbelief. I was reading what said, and I was like, how is it possible? I just came off the course and I just sat down to sign all the autograph, and then they show up with the disc that says 2022 world champion. And I couldn't believe. And then it turned out that they had started stamping the discs from hole 9 or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, you have so much more belief in me than I had. yeah, I guess they saw something in me that maybe I didn't, or I even think it's not a good thing to close out the tournament before it's really over. You know, as a competitor, you always have to stay focused, but as an outsider, of course, you look at through different lens. Uh, but yeah, it was one of the most incredible moments of my career to see this disc out there and to have this stamp and to know that there's so many people behind this project to make it work and to get this disc out there. I'm incredibly thankful to all of them who worked hard to get this stamp on the disc and who really believed that I could achieve it. Otherwise, it would have been for nothing. I mean, this work would have been just trash if I messed up all the holes. Thank God I
Well, like
didn't.
well, like you said, though, you know you have business to do, and you know that you have to maintain that focus. But like you said, so many people have that faith and know of your consistency and know what you're capable of. And it was just a matter of time that it played out over those next hour or two during that back nine. So you're right. Everyone has plenty of faith, and you have that faith and that belief inside. You just maybe hold it back a little tighter compared to everyone else, because it was clearly felt like your destiny. It was an unbelievable week. You got better every single time you played the course, and the success that you had out there was so well deserved and earned in every possible way. And I can't say how amazing it is for someone like me who's watched disc golf. I've watched Juliana, I've watched Elaine, I've watched Des and Val and Paige and Kat and all of our world champions over the last 30 years, you know, take titles. And to see what you did was just truly incredible. And a lot of people are calling it that we're gonna see you crowned world champion more in the future. And I know that's in your plans, but it was absolutely incredible to watch.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the words, and it means so much to me coming from you. As you said, you've witnessed a lot of players over the years claim that title, and to be among these great names, it's an incredible feeling. Yes.
All right. Well, I think we're going to end it on that note. You are the 2022 world champion. You never finished off the podium in 2022. We're excited about what we're going to see in 2023. All of your tournament, you know, title defenses you're going to have, including the world championships in a beautiful place at Smuggler's Notch Resort in 2023. I'm so excited. When are people going to see you first in 2023? What will be the first competition for you?
I'm gonna start with WACO, just because I want to give some more rest to my arm. That I had surgery, and I just need to rest a little bit more. So I cannot take part of the All-Star Weekend and Las Vegas Challenge, which is a pity. But my goals are big this season. Hopefully you're going to see me a lot in the US.
All right, Kristin. Well, you had a great game plan in 2022 with your injury and working through it, and it sounds like you've got a great one for 2023. Again, for the last time, I'll say congratulations as our 2022 world champion. This has been another edition of ReWatch Wednesdays. I'm Terry Miller. That's your champion, Kristin Tattar, and we'll see you guys at the next one.